All right.
So Shabbos Mem Aleph 40. We said that they had heard the psak of Rav Yehuda. It was asked whether it was they heard it directly or whether they heard it, did they deduce it from a brisa. I mean, what's the nafkamina if you know the halacha either michlala or beferush? Because maybe I could make the deduction from a mishnah of a brisa low. I didn't learn it michlala. I learned it befer. I heard it directly from him. He quoted the halacha directly from him. Itmar. Chamin shehuchmu me'erev Shabbos. Hot water that was heated from erev Shabbos. Rav Amar Lamachar Rochetz Bo Kol Gufo Ever Ever. On Shabbos, you could wash the water that was heated up erev Shabbos. You could use to wash yourself, your whole body, but not at the one time, limb by limb. Ushmul Amar Lo Hitir Lirchotz Elapanov Yadav V'Ragma. Even with water that was heated up erev Shabbos, as a gzeira, they said you can't wash only your hands, feet, and face, not your whole body, even aver. So we're going to ask a kasha on Rav. Meisvei, chamin shulchmu erev Shabbos, hot water that was heated from erev Shabbos, lemachar, rochetz ben panav yadav v'raglav, avalo kol gufo. You can wash only your hands and feet and face, but not your whole body. Tiyuf to the Rav. Seems to be a kasha on Rav. What it means, not your whole body, it's at one time. Ela aver means limb by limb. More asked by panav yadav v'raglav tani. So ke'ein panav yadav v'raglav, just like panav is a limb, yadav is a limb, raglav is a limb. It means you're allowed to wash limb by limb. That's how Rav would be mitar. Torshma, I'll ask you another kasha. Says lo yitir lichotz b'cham in shuchmum erev Shabbos. Water that was heated up erev Shabbos, they only permitted you to use on Shabbos panav yadav v'raglav, which again seems to be a kasha on Rav. Ochanami ke'ein panav yadav v'raglav, which means it's in the matter of panav yadav v'raglav, which means aver. However, the Gemara says Tanya kavose de Shmuel. I'll bring you a brisa to support Shmuel. Chamin shulchmu erev Shabbos. L'mocha rochetz ben panav yadav v'raglav. Avaloko gufo, and here comes the punchline, aver. You may not wash your whole body aver. So this is certainly a kasha on Rav. Vein sarach lomer chamin shulchmu b'yontif. You also cannot do any of this if you heat up water on yontif either. That means the din of only using water heated up before Shabbos is operative as well prior to yontif. If you heat it up erev yontif, you can do like Shmuel says, panav yadav v'raglav, but not water heated up on yontif. Rabba masin la shmaitz de Rabba Hailish. Rabba learned this halach of Rav in the following way: Chamin shulchmu erev Shabbos, water that was heated up erev Shabbos. Lemachar on Shabbos, Amar Rav roichetz ben kol gufo u'mishtayir aver echad. He can wash his whole body except for one limb. And then we asked we asked all of the kasha we just asked, Tiyufta, and we ended up with a kasha on Rav, and it was unanswerable. Amalei Rav Yosef Labaya, Rabba Miko Avid Kishmaitz de Rav. Remember, Abaya was a Talmid of Rabba. Rabba had passed away. Rav Yosef had taken the position of Rosh Hashiva. It means Rabba and Rav Yosef were contemporaries. Abai and Rava were the Talmidim below the next generation. So Rav Yosef said to Abaya, Rabba, Mikovi Kishmaitzi de Rav. Did Rabba actually carry out halach like Rav? Amar le lo yadana.
Listen up. Thank you, Grandma, Grandpa, Eliza and Jake, and Mommy and Daddy for amazing Pesach. Thank you.
Thank you. Amar le lo yadana. Amar le lo yadana. I mean, and then he said, I don't know, but Mike Taboili, what's your question? He didn't do like Rav because the ha'itutiv. Because we asked the Khan, we ended up saying to Yufta, which means we knocked him out of the box. which means he certainly didn't do the halacha like Rav. Or says maybe Dilmalo Shmiele. Maybe he hadn't heard all of these kashas against Rav. So the Ilo Shmiele, so if he didn't hear the kashas against Rav, Vadei Ovid, Rabbah certainly would have followed the halacha of his Rebbe Rav. Dam Rabaya, Kol Mili Demar Ovid Kirav. Rabbah Paskin always like Rav, Bar Mehani Klas, except for the following, where he Paskin like Shmuel. Matil Mibeged Lebeged, that you could move tzitzis from one garment to another. Umadlikin Miner Lener. In Ner Chanukah, you could light from one candle to another. The halacha Rab Shimon Begreira, and in the dispute between Rab Shimon and Rab Yehuda regarding whether you can drag a bench from one corner to another, and it makes a ditch. So if it's a davar shei miskavein, Rab Shimon permitted, and it seems like Shmuel held like Rab Shimon, and Rabbi Paskin like that. So the Gemara says, yeah, but that doesn't answer our question.
Can I get a first?
Because Gechumrei the Rav of it. Maybe Rabbah always paskin like Rav. Who's there? Hello? Susie, could you tell Zahara and the children not to do the speakers, please? Because they're also waking up the babies. Yes, I'm teaching. So maybe Rabbah always paskin like the stringencies of Rav. But maybe Kekula the Rav lo of it. Right? Rav here was a kula, because Rav here allowed you to wash your whole body, aver, and Shmuel didn't. So it's not clear. Ton Rabban. By the way, the halacha is in Shulchan Aruch, Chamin Shulchan Lifnei Knisas Shabbos, O Yontif, water that is heated up before Shabbos or Yontif. Muter lichotz b'pon of yadav v'ragla. You can wash your hands and face and feet. Avalokal gufa afilo aver. So the Gemara says like this: Torah bon. Merchat shepaka kunakov of Me'av Shabbos. You have a bathhouse, and the bathhouse had drains, and the hot water would drain there. And I guess if there was steam there, it would let out the steam. So if on Erev Shabbos they plugged up these holes, so L'motzei Shabbos roichet bo miyad. You don't have to worry that by Motzei Shabbos maybe you have to wait the period of time it would take to heat the stuff up. No, you can wash right away. Similarly, if you closed up the drainage holes of this bathhouse Erev Yontif, you could go in on Yontif and sweat there. And and then there was an external house that you rinsed yourself off with cold water. So you would go in to take a schwitz, and then you'd cool off yourself with cold water. This could be done if you did the pekika, you didn't do any action on Yontif, and there's no gzeira. There was a famous bathhouse in Bnei Brak, Shepokakun of Me'av Yontif, and they sealed up the drainage holes from Erev Yontif. L'mochar nichnas Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Kiva. And the next day, Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Kiva went in. They sweated. The Yatsu v'nishtatu v'baysachitzon, and they poured cold water on themselves. And this was a special shechamin shalom mechupin b'nesori. But the reason they allowed themselves to do this is because the waters there were covered with planks of wood. So there was no chashash that they would go and wash themselves. They would just sweat. But the Gemara is learning from here that if the water itself wasn't covered with planks, they would not have been allowed to even to go in and sweat. Gzeira, that maybe they would come and wash. But the Chachamim said no. Even if the waters were not covered, you would still be able to go in there and sweat. However, Mishirabu Oivra, people would start taking advantage, committing Averas. We'll see what that is. Yischilu Lesor. So then they prohibited even going in just to take a shvitz. The Gemara will ask, what does it mean? What does it mean? Mishirabu Oivra Aveira. Then another halach. Ambatyot shel krachim, bathhouses of the big city, mitayel bahen ve'ena choshesh. You could walk in them even on Shabbos, and even if you sweated there. That's this price now concludes. So, 1 second. So the Gemara asks, "My over aver." What does it mean that they committed averes? In the beginning, they would wash themselves on Shabbos with water that was heated erev Shabbos, like we learned. So then, the people who would like wash clothes would start heating up water on Shabbos for their purposes. But they would claim, no, we heated this up erev Shabbos. So Asras Achamim Vitirus Azera. So they prohibited hot water use at all, even water that was heated up erev Shabbos. But they permitted heating it up to produce sweat, like we said, that they could close up at least the drainage. But they continued Adonai Yerotzim B'Chamim. They would be bathing in the hot water of Oimrim, and they said, no, Mizina, we're only in here for sweating. So Asulahem Zera. So they assered even sweating. So this heter was eventually by the Oivra Vera, they got rid of the heter of the Zay as well. Vitiru Chame Tveri. But they permitted for people to go and take a bath on Shabbos in the Chame Tveria. Because nobody did it. It was natural hot springs. Vadayin Hayurochs and B'Chamei, but people saw people bathing in the hot springs. So they would bathe, they would light up fire, either Erev, certainly Shabbos, but even Erev Shabbos, which they had made a Gzeira against with fire, and they would claim, no, we're bathing in Chamei Tveria. So Asulahan Chamei Tveria. So they prohibited bathing in Chamei Tveria as well. The Tirulan is at Some. But they permitted washing with cold water. Raush and they saw nobody kept this halacha. So he Tirulan Chamei Tveria. They went back and matired bathing in Chamei Tveria. The Zeya b'mkoimoy medes. And they kept the Isser regarding Zeya. So the halacha of Shulchan Aruch Merchat Shepokun Nekov Erev Shabbos Kadesh Lo Yischamein Mutter Lirchot Bo B'Motzei Shabbos Miyad. We said if they seal up a bathhouse from Erev Shabbos, you could bathe there right away Erev Shabbos. If you didn't heat them, if you didn't close up the things, you'd have to wait until it takes you to heat up the water. And if you close them up Erev Yom Tiv, you could go in there for sweating. But you weren't allowed to bathe. And Chametz Tver is permitted to bathe in Chametz Tver b'Shabbos when they're in the ground, but not if you put it into a kli. But it's also likanis lemerchatz b'Shabbos l'sham lahazeyabo. You're not allowed to go into a bathhouse to take a schwitz on Shabbos. That's the final halacha. Omer v'ayman dovid ad rabbanon. Those that violate a din rabbanon shar lemikra le avaryana. You can call them an avaryan, a sinner. Kiman kihai tana, like the Tana we just quoted, because they called oivru takonis chachamim oivre avera. Then Allah said, you could take a spazier in the big bathhouses of a big city. In a big city, about the Kfar low. My time, even the Zutra Nafish of Life, it's very hot, and people will sweat there. And like we learned, we learned that you cannot go in there to sweat. A person, let's say there's a bonfire roaring on Shabbos. You could go and sit next to it to heat yourself up. The Yotze Mishatit Pitzonin, even though right after you rinse yourself off with cold water, and that cold water, or let's say you even if you went in first with the cold water, no, as well. Even if you go, that means you can't go. You can go in to be next to the Madura, and then afterwards bathe yourself in cold water. But you shouldn't do the opposite. Because it's making the water on your body lukewarm. We don't want to do that. You can heat up like a shmata, and put it on your stomach on Shabbos if you have a stomach ache. You can't take a hot water kettle and the dovers afil b'cholas. You could burn yourself. So that's also even during the week. Maybe adam kiton mayim. Person could take a little jug of water, and put it next to a bonfire. Lo b'shvil sheyechamu. You can't have in mind that you want it to cook, to get hot. Ela b'shvil shetavik tzinasa. You just want it to take away the chill of the water. Rav Yehuda Omer, mevi isha pach shel shemen. A woman can take a jug of oil that she wants to anoint on her body, umenichaso keneged hamedura, and put it next to the flame. Lo bishvil sheyivashel. She can't have kavanah to cook. Ela bishvil sheyivshar, just till it gets a little warm. That's permitted. Rishon Gamliel Omer, isha sacha yada shemen mischama keneged hamedura. She can put oil on her hand and bring it close to a bonfire. The sachal nakana putting on her child, and that's not a problem because of bishul. There's no intent of bishul. Boilu, shemen, ma'ul Tanakama. We didn't explain the Tanakama. Discuss water. What is the Tanakama regarding shem? Rabbi Rav Yosef Tamar Tavela Teira. Rabbi Yosef permitted. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Omer Lisur. Rav Nachman said no, it's prohibited. They said shemen, even if the hand withdraws from it because it's so hot, it's permitted. Why? I guess oil will not cook at that temperature. It's got to require much higher temperature, and you do not over bishul. But Rabbi Yehuda says, no, you can be mavashal shemen. Ve'avshero lo zehu bishula. But warming it up is not its bishul. So you're not over bishul. The also Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Meimer shemen yesh bo mishum bishul. Ve'avshero zeh bishula. Right? Rabbi Shimon Gamliel doesn't permit it. Says you can reach the point of bishul by shemen, and raising its temperature just to being lukewarm, that's considered its bishul. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Amar Surah, shemen aval pi sheni yad tzolez ba'aser. And even if you get the shemen to a temperature where the yad would not withdraw, it's still aser. Why? He also had like Rav Shimon Gamliel that you could be mavashal shemen, and just raising its temperature a little bit was its bishul. No, just raising its temperature is not bishul. Now it seems like Rav Shimon Gamliel Hainu Taina Kama. Seems like it's the same Allah. No, if you do it not in a normal way, that the Tanakam who said you can't do it no matter what, you can't do it. But if you put it as shinui, like you don't just bring a vial of shemen next to the wall, you put it on your hand, and then you heat it next to the hand, that's kibla achariyah, that would be permitted. Whether it's oil, whether it's water, if you reach a temperature of yad soletispo, where the hand will withdraw, osir, and yad soletispo mutter. So that's the getter of bishul. The other simon of bishul is if the stomach of a child will burn a little bit, like turns red. So that's yad soletispo. I once followed Rebbe into a bathhouse. I wanted to put a little jug of shemen with him to heat it up a little bit, then he could use it. The Amar Li told the klisheni. He said, make sure it's a klisheni, meaning a klisheni, meaning a kli rishon is a kli that's directly on the fire. Then when you pour that water into a second kli, that's called a klisheni. Shma mino tlash, shma mino shemen yesh bo mishum bishul. Rabbi obviously was concerned about bishul by shemen. Shma mino kli sheni ein mavashel. The kli sheni does not have the power to be mavashel. It's a major machlokas in your Yoredeya regarding this issue, whether kli sheni has the ability to mavashel. There are certainly those opinions that hold like this Gemara, that kli sheni cannot be mavashel, but there are those that demand the kli shlishi to make sure that there's no bishul at all. That's the most machmir shita. Shmamina, hefsher was there bishul, that just getting shemen to a point of warming it up, that's already considered its bishul. So the Gemara says, how could Rabbi do? You can't think about Torah. Here, Rebbe was asked a question at Beis HaMerchatz. He answered him, he gave him a halachic question. You can't be maharer on Torah in Beis HaMerchatz. Maybe he answered him in Roman, in Latin, not in Hebrew. Abaye says that matters that don't relate to Torah, matters that relate to politics or science or something that's chol, you're allowed to speak of those in Hebrew in a bathhouse. But shel kodesh also b'lashon chol. But items related to Torah, you can't speak of them even in a foreign language. More answers afrushe mi isura shayn. When you want to come to separate somebody from an isur, you're allowed to speak even in a bathhouse. Teda. I'll prove it to you. The students of Rav Meir followed him into a bathhouse. They wanted to sweep the ground. You can't do it. They wanted to apply some kind of fluid to the ground. It also would lead to some kind of malach on Shabbos. Alma, you see, they talked about this in the bathhouse. Shiny. We learned from this if you cook something in Chametz Tver, it's Chai. Because Rebbe lived after the time where we goizer cooking, where we go in a bathhouse. Armalei told a klisheni, but he told him you could put it in a klisheni. Whereas his Aini, it's not so Ram Chizam Vashim Chametz Tver Shabbos Potter. My Chayiv Nami Dekomer Malkus Mardus. It means even Rebbe held that you're not Chayiv Midoraisa Malkus. It's rabbinic Isser. Says the Rambam. Abavashim Chametz Tver Potter Midin Torah. V'osam Dibei Chachamim. Rav Zera, Anoch Aziz Ravo, the Shat Bambati. I saw Ravo swimming in a bathhouse. It was on Shabbos. V'lo yadana I akar I lo akar. I didn't know if he picked his legs up from the ground or not. Because we're going to learn in another Masechta that there's a Gzeira that you might come to carry. Let's see. Pshita de Loyoka. Gemara says it's clear that he did not pick his feet up. Tanya, person shouldn't swim in a pond full of water. Even if it's surrounded by walls. Because we're not concerned that he's going to, let's say, throw the water daled amis. But in a chotzer, it's problem with daled amis, but still they were goizer. Which is like kasha, had the less like you do, they have the least like you do. It depends if this pool had like some fences around it. Without fences, it looks like a river or a yam. Where there we assert. Rashi has two pshatim. One is that the reason we assert because you stick your foot in the ground and sort of it's muddy and you're digging a hole in it, so you're making a chritz. The other pshat in Rashi is that it has to do with throwing, and that's why the gedudei help. Hadis like gedudei, then will be permitted. Now we're doing Mem Aleph Amad Aleph now, 41 Shabbos. Ravavon was swimming without clothes on. He put his hand to cover his genitalia. We don't know whether he touched or he didn't touch his genitalia. Or is this pshita de leinaga? I'm sure he didn't touch. The time of the Ezra Omer, whoever holds on to his genitalia while he's urinating, it's going to cause an arousal, and it's like Dora Mabu. Amrabaya aso kaboleshes. This is the same din as when an army comes invading into a town. It's not. You have a Roman legion that comes into the town. So b'shas shalom, when there's peace, chavios psuchos asiros, wine barrels that are open, not sealed, they're going to have enough time to stick their hand in there and do whatever they do to make it yayin nesa. Stumos, if they're sealed, then you're allowed to drink because they're not going to take the time to unseal the barrels. During Milchama, they don't have the time, so both open and sealed barrels are permitted. Since they're afraid, they don't menasech the yain. Hachanami, here as well, when you're in a river and there's a current, and maybe you're afraid of drowning, even if he touches his genitalia, it's not going to come to hear one. Right? Might be to the denaro, being drowning. Whereas it's not so. Whoever touches himself in his genitalia, that means it's not a good thing to cover your genitalia because it's as if you're embarrassed of being circumcised. So what's going on? Loikasha haki nachis hakiso. It means when he came out of the pool, he did not cover because he's not embarrassed of his circumcision. When he's in, he can cover. But Kiyad Rava Shachi, when Rava would swim, he would bow down, he would like crouch. But Rav Zera Zakif. Rav Zera would stand up because he was not afraid to show his Mila. Rabban Revashki Konachti. When they would go in the river, they would go in walking upright. Because then there's no reason, because nobody's going to see them anyway, but there's no reason to be embarrassed. Because when they went out of the waters where their nakedness is revealed, then they would crouch over for tznius reasons. It's also to swim on Shabbos, even in a pool in a chutzner, says a Shulchan Aruch. And a person should not hold his genitalia when he urinates, as long as he's not aroused. And they permit people who are married to do so. But even married people, when they meet chasidus, can be mezahir from that. Now comes a very interesting Gemara that's relevant to us. Rav Zera have a komishtamit and Rav Yehuda. Rav Zera wanted to make aliyah from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, and therefore he would stay away from Rav Yehuda. Rav Zera de Boile Mesek Lar Yisrael. Rav Yehuda was a known person who told people, don't make aliyah. If you went from Bavel to Israel, you're over Basei Shenamar. Bavla Yubu Vashama Yu, because the Navi says you're going to be taken to Bavel, you got to stay there. So Rab Zera said, Amar Ezel Vashramine Milsa. I still want to go and hear Allah from there. Ace of Ace. He went, he was discussing the laws of the Merchatz. The Karmel Lishmaya, Havili Nesser, bring me soap. Havili Masre, bring me a comb. Pisku Pumaychu. You could open up your mouth and drink the water and let the hot water come in. Or let the water, let the bad air go out and drink the water. Omar. So Rav Zera said, Dayenu. Like, if I only heard these halachos, would have been enough. I understand. He said, bring soap, bring a comb. This teaches us the halacha that non-Torah things you could say even in Hebrew. Open your mouth and let the hot air go out. Is Kiddush Shmuel. The Omer Shmuel, Havla Mafik Havla. Having hot air come into your body lets more sweat come out, and the bad air will come out quicker. So he understood all of that. What was the benefit of drinking the waters of the bathhouse? The Tanya. If a person eats but doesn't drink, so eating is like blood. This leads to diseases of intestines. You got to balance your eating with drinking. If you ate and didn't take a walk afterwards, it's like the food rots inside of you. And for herald purposes, this leads to bad breath. So that means exercising after you eat is a prevention from bad breath. That's what the Gemara says.
For you, Harold, eh?
Yeah, it dehydrates you, makes your breath worse.
Okay. Person has to go to the bathroom, but he eats anyways. It's like an oven that is being heated and the old coals have not been removed. This is like body odor. If you bathe in hot water, you didn't drink from them, that's similar. Like an oven that was heated from outside, not from the inside. If you take a hot water bath and you don't cool yourself off with cold water, so it's like the swordsman who makes a metal sword. They put it in fire, but he didn't anneal it by putting it quickly in cold water, right? Because what they used to do is they would take it right out of the forge and put it in cold water. So if you don't rinse with cold water, then it doesn't work like it's supposed to. If you bathed and didn't anoint yourself with oils, it's like a water on a barrel that goes into it. It's like waterproofing. So these are medical things that the Rambam says. The Rambam doesn't say follow these things. The Rambam obviously knew that every age is going to have different scientific concepts. The Rambam basically said a person's chayav to watch his health and to do eating and drinking and all the other things the way the mumchei refuim, the way the experts in medicine give instruction. Mishnah. Mulyar hagaruf. This is like a samovar. This is like a big kli, like a samovar, right? To heat up water. Hagaruf shoyis nemen b'Shabbos. The Gemara is going to explain that this was a copper kli that they put water in it. On the side of it, they put coals in it, and next to it, they had water. So if you covered the coals or removed the coals, you were allowed to drink from it on Shabbos. Otherwise, we would be afraid that you would stoke the coals and you'd come to be mavasha. Now, an antichi, which we're going to see, is another kli where the coals were on the bottom and the water is on the top. So there, it doesn't make a difference. You were not allowed to drink from it. What's a mulyar? Tana, that the water is on the inside and the coals are on the outside. What's antichi? Rabbi Omer Bekiri. Like a stovetop that has a space there, and then the mayim was put in the space between the coals. However, Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak says beidudi. It's like a cauldron. Mana beidudi kosher came bekiri. That you're not allowed. If the one that learns it's a cauldron, you certainly could not use a kira. Mana bekiri of a beidudi low would not be a problem. Tanya Kavaz Rav Nachman Antiki Avul Pishagru for Ketuma, even though you remove the coals, ain't choice the mena, nation of Chushta Mechamamasa, because the copper heats it up. Mishnah. Hamechem Shepineyu, you have like a tea kettle of hot water. And you removed the hot water from the tea kettle. On Shabbos, you can't put cold water in it to heat up the cold water. If you have a mind because you want the water to really be heated up, you're not allowed it. But if you only want to take the chill from the water, you're allowed to do it. So the l'chora, it has to do with your kavanah. So the Gemara doesn't understand my kamar. What does it mean? Pinei. On Ravana bar Masna achi kamar. Mechem sheprim mimenu mayim chamim. You have a tea kettle that was heated up before Shabbos. And then on Shabbos, you take the water out. You can't put a little bit of water in there in order for they to be heated up. But if you flood that tea kettle with tons of water, so the water's not going to get that hot. says can take the chill. They love shir, and that you're allowed to do. Mem off on the base. Freit du more valom et sarev. The Gemara asks like this: if you have a hot kli, and you put cold water in it, you're strengthening the kli. Like we said, the swordsman who takes the sword out of the forge and dips it in water, it anneals the steel. It makes it stronger. So here as well on Shabbos, if you're allowed to pour cold water into this hot vessel, why aren't we over a malacha like binyan?
Well, because this vessel is already made. A sword, you're making the sword and it cools it.
I understand, but you could strengthen a vessel even after it's been made. It's been made stronger. So we're concerned, says the Gemara, that you're being mechazek the kli, and that's the Gemara melechas hatzorfim. That's how all metal workers finishes their work. That's the way Rashi explains. So the Gemara says the reason why it's permitted is Reb Shimon. The Omer Dover Shemiskavin Mutter. Your kavana, Johnny, here is not to anneal the kli. Your kavana is because you want to take the chill out of the water. So it's a classic case of Dover Shemiskavin. Machlokas Rabbi Yehuda and Reb Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda says doesn't make a difference. It's still also. Reb Shimon says Dover Shemiskavin is mutter. So your kavana is not for the purpose of the kli, so it's permitted. Ask you Nidi. Mecham Shepina Mimenu Mayim Ktani. It doesn't say the tea kettle that they removed water. It says Mecham Shepineu Ktani. How do you know it means water? We're talking about you had a tea kettle, you emptied it up somewhat. There's some hot water left there. Don't pour some more cold water in there in order for them to heat up. Pour a lot of cold water in there in order for it to become lukewarm. But a tea kettle that is completely emptied of water, there, he's worried about the concept of tziruf. Because the whole kli is empty, and you're putting in cold water, therefore you shouldn't do it because you're going to lead to tziruf. And, because that's the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda, who doesn't care about your kavanah, the Omer, Davar Shem Miskavin also. I don't care that you're miskavin for the water. Since I hold Davar Shem Miskavin also, it's also. Omerah, Loi Shanu, when do we say it's permitted to put water into the tea kettle hafshir? Because if you have in mind only to make it lukewarm, aval etzarif also. But if you have in mind to strengthen the kli because you're pouring cold water into a hot kli, you're not allowed to do it. He says you can do it even if your kavanah was tzarif. How could that be? How could Shmuel say that you're allowed to do it? You can be mitzarif l'chatchila. It's a malach on Shabbos. This is how you have to understand what he said. Amara. When are you permitted? If you only dump the amount of water in there that's going to cause it to become lukewarm. But if you dump enough to be mitzarif also. Would be mutter. Even that amount would be mutter because he's not being miskaving to do tziruf. Okay, we'll stop here. So tomorrow, 9 o'clock.
Yeah, 9 a.m.
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.